Alright guys, here I am today. I'm going to go ahead and show you my profile for the casual version of the Appliancer characters. Now, rather than do the same format everybody else is doing currently, what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed run through the deck, and then afterward I'll go over card interactions and what they do. So real quick, I'm going to start with my extra deck. As of the Battle of Legends Armageddon, we got these characters, so we got 5 different extra deck characters, so we're just going to run all 5 at 3s. So I got 3 Celtipus, 3 Dryer Drakes, 3 Kappa Scales, 3 Laundry Dragons, and 3 Vacuolifants. So we're going to set that over there in the extra deck section. As far as the traps, we're going to run a 4 count. It's just basic stuff: 2 Strike, 2 Judgment. Our monsters, we got 3 main deck monsters in that set. We got the Breaker Bunkle at 3, we got Copy Buckle at 3, we got Socket Roll at 3, and Ash Blossom Joyous Spring at 3. To round it out, there's 24 spell cards. So we're going to use 3 copies the Appliancer Electro Lyrical World, 3 copies Appliancer Reuse, 3 copies Appliancer Test. We're going to use 3 copies Called by the Grave. We're going to use 3 copies Infernal Reckless Summon, 3 copies Machine Duplication, 1 copy 1 for 1, 1 Pot of Avarice, 1 Terraforming, and 3 copies Where Art Thou. So, if you were only here for the deck list, luckily we took up less than 2 minutes of your time. If you're here for the breakdown as well, we'll do that as well. So, let's go back through. We'll talk about the 2 trap cards. We're using Solemn Strike and Solemn Judgment. These are basic negates. These are very staple cards, and I don't want to waste time on that. As far as the spells, the more interesting ones are, of course, the Appliancer's new spells. So you have the Electro Lyrical World, which has 3 effects. Much like the Subterror's Hidden City Field spell. When you play this, you will search out a card from your deck, and this allows you to add any Appliancer card from your deck, and it only excludes field spell. So you can search for anything except another Electro Lyrical World. Then once per turn, if you link summon an Appliancer, link monster or monsters, depending on if you do them simultaneously somehow, you can add 1 Appliancer back from the discard pile to your hand. Now, those are the only effects I use. It does have one more, saying that once per turn when a monster declares an attack, you may move an Appliancer you control to another main zone. Not sure why that'd be good. Don't do it. Never have. So, we also have the Reuse spell. Target Appliancer in the graveyard, special summon it, place it on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. This is a perfect effect for recycling cards like Socket Roll, and it's refreshing to see one that doesn't say banish the card when it leaves the field. You have Test. Test is target 1 Appliancer link monster you control. Special summon as many link 1 Appliancers from your graveyard as possible. To zones that monster points to, banishing them during the end phase. You may only activate 1 of these per turn. This isn't terrible because since you're special summoning them this way instead of link summoning them, you can use them as material immediately. So you can either slide off into same copies or alternate copies for a different board. Or if you try to add different link monsters into the deck that are non-Appliancer, you'll be able to fuel those link summons. I don't feel like we need to talk too much about Called by the Grave. That's pretty staple, like the Solemn cards. Infernal Reckless Summon is almost a bad play, but kind of necessary if you're going second. So activate when 1 monster with 1500 or less attack is special summoned to your side of the field while your opponent controls a monster, which is the important part. Special summon all monsters with same name as your summoned monster from hand, deck, and discard in attack position. They get to choose 1 monster they control and special summon all cards from hand, deck, and graveyard with that name. So this could backfire on you, and it's sometimes just a dead card in your hand. Machine Duplication really doesn't need too much explanation. It's just, they're all 500 or less. You just play out all the rest of the copies from your deck. 1 for 1 is pretty basic. Pot of Avarice is basic. Terraforming is basic. Where Art Thou is like the other card that maybe needs an explanation. So if you control a face-up level 1 monster, add 1 level 1 monster from deck to your hand. During the end phase of this turn, take 2000 damage if you do not normal summon the added monster or a card that shares the name after activating this card. And that's important because For the most part, we are going to special summon our characters. So normal summoning usually won't happen unless maybe you did the 1-for-1 first. That's about the only exception there. If you activate that, unfortunately, you're pretty much guaranteeing yourself a quarter of your hit points are going to be gone, which again, due to consistency issues, like that's going to hurt when you go to use your trap cards too, because those are all life pay effects. So, monster-wise, we'll skip over Ash. We'll just toss it on the rest of the deck pile real quick. Move that over there. So we got Breaker Bunkle. Now, Breaker Bunkle is pretty cool because he's actually our defensive, protective card in the archetype. So during damage calculation, if an appliancer you control battles an opponent's monster, it doesn't say that you have to attack, or you can be while you're attacking or being attacked. You can quick effect discard the card. For the battle, you essentially perform Obaku. Your monster doesn't take damage, and neither do you. And if this card is on the field or in the graveyard, you can remove this. When an appliance or monsters you control be destroyed by card effect to stop that destruction. So, he's okay. Now, Copy Bockle and Socket Roll are both pretty cool cards. And in order to understand Copy Bockle, I feel like we need to talk about the Socket Roll first. So Socket Roll's effect is if you control an appliance or monster, you can special summon this card from the hand. If another appliance or socket roll is special summoned to the field while you already control this, except during damage step, you can special summon one more socket roll from your deck. Each effect is a hard once per turn. So what you could do is you could, summon socket roll, special summon socket roll number 2, and then go from deck and get socket roll number 3. And it would set you up for 3 of the 4 monsters you're going to want to have towards the end of the building board section. And the Copy Bockle helps you along because his effect is you can target one appliance or you control, special summon this card from your hand. If you do, his name becomes the same as the other monster until the end phase. So now we play Socket Roll A to special summon Copy Bockle. Copy Bockle is Socket Roll B, which gets us Socket Roll C from deck and helps you set up your board faster. Now, he has another effect I really don't use, and that is during the main phase, except the turn it is sent to the graveyard, you may banish it in the graveyard to select one appliance or you control. Special summon one monster with the same name from hand or graveyard. And both of his effects are, again, a nice hard once per turn, so he'd be very helpful. If you had one of each, you would obviously go Bunkle, Socket, Bockle, Socket. And then that would get you immediately up to your 4 characters on board. Now, the reason I say you need 4 characters is when it comes to the extra deck, you're going to find that Celtipus is a Link 2. And then all 4 other characters are all Link 1s that point so that they're either below and to the left or directly behind so that they can co-link. Now this is important with Celtipus because he is any 2 appliancers. This linked card cannot be targeted by opponent's card effects or monster attacks. During damage calculation, if an appliance or link monster you control that is co-linked to this card battles an opponent's monster, your battling monster gains attack equal to the number of co-linked monsters attached to this one times 1,000. So he gives a possible 2k bonus during damage calculation, which is cool. And once per turn, if an appliance or link monster or monsters you control that are not co-linked are destroyed by battle or card effect, he'll allow you to draw 1 card. So you're almost always going to, and let me throw something up to act as a dual center real quick. Let's say I played him there. I'll show you what I mean. Dryer Drake is one of my favorite characters for this. Cannot be used. Actually, all 4 of the rest are going to share the same first line, and that is cannot be used as link material. The turn it is link summoned, which is why I said that Appliancer Test was good, because we can test them back, and since Celtipus has 2 links, we'll be able to set into a double co-link off that, and then because they were special summoned from the graveyard, not link summoned, you will be able to, either parallel line them So, you know, dryer for dryer, laundry for laundry, or you could do like laundry for Kappa, use Kappa's effect, go back into laundry. I don't know what you want to do as far as that, but you can avoid actually having them get, I think I said it was removed. Yeah, banish them during the end phase. And again, we don't want them to get banished. There's so few appliancers anyway. But so not the turn that they're played legitimately from the extra deck, but any other time these guys can be used as linked material. So this linked card gains 1,000 attack. So if he's here, he's co-linked. If he's here, he's just linked. If he's here and it's just this setup, he has his 1,000 plus the additional 1,000 for being co-linked from Celtipus during damage. So in reality, this will look like a 3K, but only gets up to 1,000 on his own. Well, not even on his own. He has to be linked. If this card is co-linked, once per turn during your battle phase, you can switch the position of 2 appliancers in your main monster zones, including this card, and if you do, the other monster can make a second attack during each battle phase this turn. And then once per turn, while this card is not co-linked, is targeted for an attack, you can negate the attack. So let's say I, for some reason, went into 2. He'd be a 2K. You do his swing, use his effect, swap their positions. Now he gets the co-link bonus plus the double attack. Swing, whatever. And because he's not co-linked at this point, he could technically stop any attack made on him. So Dry Drake is probably one of my favorites out of all these guys, but he just looks cool. Then you got your 3 copies of the Kappa skill. You contribute this co-linked card, special summon an appliancer link from your graveyard except Kappa skill. You contribute this card that is not co-linked to special summon a level 4 lower appliancer from your graveyard. Each effect is a hard once per turn. He's not that great, but again, he's not terrible. Laundry Dragons is the strongest character. He's actually got a stat for 1,500 base. So again, plus 2K here is 3,500. So we'll put my Dryer Drake formation back up. And that's my usual board that I want to go to and then sit on my staples so that they do the work for me. Now, this guy's a little weird, so neither player takes any battle damage from attacks involving this card. Once per turn after damage calculation, if this co-link monster battles an opponent's monster, you can banish the opponent's monster. So he's good. He can run into things that are much bigger than him to take threats off the field. And at the same time, if you have, Uncle, you can maintain him on the field. You won't take any damage. And he gets up to 35, so he could try to take on bigger threats. And once per turn after damage calculation, if this card is not co-linked battles a monster, you can destroy the monster instead, and if you did, inflict damage equal to that monster's original attack. So he does have like a direct damage effect, which is okay. And then there's my least favorite of these guys. That's the Vacuolifant. So can attack directly while it is not co-linked. You can send 1 card from hand to graveyard, target a card your opponent controls, destroy it. If it is co-linked, you can target 1 monster your opponent's main zones, destroy it, and each effect is a hard once per turn. So he's more utility, but he does have like the second highest stat. So along with Dryer Drake and taking over Dryer Drake's position by link points, he is going to be another 3K option during damage calculation. So he's not terrible. I just don't like him. But that is the deck profile. This is the normal board I tried to go to. This deck is casual. It is limited by the extreme lack of archetype cards. It doesn't really seem to have too much support in the way of things that specifically work for it. But there are enough level 1 support cards and machine support cards and special summon support cards that I was able to make something that can consistently put this board up. And I do get this about 95% of the time that I was playtesting. If I were to try to make this deck any better, the first thing I would do is probably drop every Appliancer link down to 2. And I would take note that Celtipus doesn't actually have the same effect as the link ones. So Celtipus can be used as link material to turn it as link summoned. So this does mean that you could go into a Link 4 just off a double Celtipus, or depending on what your budget reaches, and again, I'm trying to use only budget cards for this channel, you could play Link 3s and 2s and stuff based on machine and maybe the dark attribute. I don't think so, but so you could play random good stuff. That's all I got. If you guys have any ideas, there is a comment section. Leave me a little note. If it's worth trying, I'll try it. If it isn't, it'll be fine. I'm going to go ahead and try to figure out another deck to bring you guys later, all right? See ya.